We've got the perfect card for you to make for somebody in your family or somebody that you know that has served for the U.S. military. This is going to be perfect for Memorial Day or Veterans Day. Maybe there's another special date that's of significance to the special person in your life, or you could even use it as a birthday card for someone that is in the military. So anyway, we have our pieces here, and I've sort of laid some of the little elements out just to kind of help myself. And I'm going to walk you through the assembly of this guy here. And this card features a bald eagle that has wings that actually flop out, or flap out, they don't flop out. So let's just get started by putting these pieces down in place first. Now, the base of the card, you'll notice that the version that's included in the main import doesn't have a score mark, so all I did was I just folded it in half. Now, if you have a scoring tool, you'll want to score this at 5 inches, but we've also included an optional version in the extras folder that actually has the score marks already in there for you. Okay, so when you have this out, just make sure that you have the orientation correct, because this is not centered. The little slits are more towards the bottom than they are the top. And we're going to begin by putting together this little American banner. And you'll also notice on your cutout here, or on the base of the card, that there are some little markers to help you position these in the correct place. So I'm just going to get started here. And you may occasionally see a little transition to the next piece here, and that's only if I have to get my head in there really close to make sure that I've got the alignment on there precise, but I'm definitely going to walk you through it the whole way through. Okay, so let's get our glue on this piece here. Look for the little markers here for the tops of this little banner. Just make sure that you get them into the appropriate location. And also make sure that you have it nice and lined up with the center there, and that you're not obstructing the little slit there as well. That's of great importance there, okay, because our little bald eagle is going to go right into that area. Okay, so the first one is in place nicely for me there, and I'm going to move on to the next one here. And we'll just get our glue on this piece here and get that in place. And I think that regardless of which branch of the military your family member or friend is in, they're really going to appreciate this card. It's definitely a very unique little piece. Okay, so just make sure that you've got everything nice and aligned, that everything is nice and symmetrical. Let's take a look at that. That looks pretty darn good. Okay, so next we can go ahead and put on this little banner piece, and that's going to go right here. There are some markers here on this side. Actually, you know what? Let's start on the other side, because there are some more prominent markers here to help you with the alignment, and then we can use that as a guide for the other side to make sure that we're getting that aligned correctly and creating a nice little mirror image and making sure everything is nice and symmetrical. Okay, so just kind of pop that right inside of those little guide marks there. And then there should be a little guide here on the tail end of this little banner. Okay, so just get that in place, just like so. Okay, and then we have this part of the banner here, and there's a little marker there for the tip of it there, and then there's 2 little markers down here for the little tails of our banner, and that's going to go like that. Now I'm using the smooth side of the cardstock for this section here. Okay, so let's just get that in place. And then we can do the other side and just kind of mirror it nicely. Okay, and just do your best to get that to go along those little guides there. That looks nice. It's a really cool looking card. Okay. All right, now let's grab our other banner here. We're going to put our little eagle together here in just a second. And actually, it's very straightforward. Now keep in mind, I don't know if I've noticed or I've mentioned this, but as I'm putting this together, just remember that this is my first time putting it together too. And I'm going to put this upside down. It might be a little bit easier to work. Okay, so I'm just going to align that with the other one just to make sure that everything is nice and symmetrical for me. And that looks good. Here we go. Okay, let's grab our other banner. And I'm going to flip it over this way. A beautiful red, white, and blue. And of course, you can customize this however you want. Maybe you have some colors that are more specific to your branch of the military, or maybe you want to use something with some camouflage patterns. That's totally up to you on how you want to do that. Okay, so again, let's just make sure that we're getting this nice and symmetrical. Okay, so this one is going to start at about the second star. Okay, bringing that in just a tad. Okay, so that's all in place. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that there are a total of 4 stars. Okay, 3 of them are going to be the exact same size. One of them is just a tiny little bit smaller. Just plop them on top of each other like this and find the small one. That's going to be for your envelope. 2 of these are going to go on the inside of the card. One's going to go on the front. Okay, and we're going to put the stars pretty much right about here. Okay, so let's put one in place, and then we'll get the other one in place based on the symmetry. Okay, so just get a little bit of glue on there. I want the tip of the star to be up, leave a little bit of headroom as well as some foot room, we'll call it, and place it right about at this part here, the top of the star, and use that as your guide. Okay, and then we can grab the other one and do that same thing on the other side. And then let's start working on our little eagle here. Got a little bit too much glue there. Okay, so again, nice headroom, nice foot room, nice and centered, using the little part here where the banner kind of curves in as our guide. And let's take a look at that from this angle here. I'm going to nudge it up just a tad. We don't want to put too many place markers on this thing because then it starts getting kind of crazy, but we definitely understand that you want to try to get everything nice and symmetrical too. So we're trying to figure out the best way to do that. And I'd say that looks pretty darn good. Okay, so leave our card alone for just a sec here. Let's take a look at our eagle. And we've got his head, his body. Now yours is going to come like this. Okay, the first thing you want to do is fold it in half. When you fold it in half, this part here is going to fold just like this. But then you also want to just kind of fold this over both ways like that, so that ultimately you can fold that back like this. Okay, because the wings are going to get glued onto that. But let's take a look at and glue down let's glue down our head first. Okay, and I'm going to do this flat. Now, if you take a really close look at this, you'll notice that right here on his little chest, there's 3 score marks. Okay, we're going to glue this down so that it covers up 2 of the score marks. We're using those as guides. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some glue. Now, if you take a look here, actually, the whole part of his head here at the bottom is going to be glued. So just concentrate your glue on the little ruffled, feathered area. Okay, just get it all on that little area there. And then maybe just a little line just above it. You don't want to go too far up. Okay, and then get that glued. Skip one of the little score lines there and get it glued just above that score mark. Okay, and Just make sure that it can fold flat for you. And just push that down, hold it down for a second. Make sure that it sets nicely. Okay, and that's how his head is going to go on. Okay, and let's take a look at the bottom part here. Okay, now the bottom part is going to get glued on like this. I'm just going to stretch this out so it's flat, almost flat. And we're just going to need to put glue on this entire piece here. Okay, so get your glue out there onto all of his little tail feathers. And get it covered nicely. Okay, and just flatten that part out at the bottom there. Don't need to flatten his head out. Just flatten the bottom part, bottom half of him. And lay that down nicely so it matches up. And then before it completely sets, let's just make sure this part sets. We're going to go ahead and fold it just to make sure that it will crease for us. Okay, so there we go. That looks sharp. And we can put his little talons on. And you want to make sure that the I'd say the smaller of the 3 talons, there's one towards the inside that is a little bit smaller. You want to make sure that that gets glued like that. Okay, so let's get our glue on the back of his talons. And get that glued into place like that. Got a little beak for him too. I called it a nose, and I got yelled at for that. But I'm sure he smells through it, doesn't he? That makes it a nose. Okay, so let's just get that glued into place. Just like that. Give it a squeeze. Okay, that looks great. Now let's take a look at his little nose, or not his nose, his beak. And just make sure you crease that right in the center. Okay. And there's 2 little notches on here to kind of help you with glue placement. You don't want to put glue placement outside of the little notch area. So just 2 little dots of glue on the inside, or actually on the outside of those. Okay, and we're going to put that right under his eyes. Okay, and it should kind of stick out a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. It's going to hang just a tiny little bit. Okay, so that looks really cool. All right, so our eagle is almost done. These are the little tabs that are going to go into the little slots here, and they're going to go away from the center seam. Okay, so you don't want them pointing this way. You want them coming out this way. But before we do that, let's get his wings ready. Now I'm flipping them over because we do have some vellum pieces that we're going to glue onto the wings so that he looks awesome. And I'm just going to do a little line around the perimeter and then get some on the inside. And just like I did with my last one, I'm just going to kind of brush this and then pop that on there. You don't need a lot of glue for this vellum to stick. As long as you apply it while it's still wet, it will hold nicely, and then you won't get that unsightly look. If you have some spray glue, this may be a good time to use some spray glue to adhere the vellum to the back, okay, because that's what we want it to look like. Let me get the other one set here. And I'm just working around the inner perimeter here because you don't want to go all the way out. Just want to kind of keep it, whoops, got a little glue explosion there. Okay, and I'm just going to run that down like that, flatten it out a bit. Okay, and then get that right in place. Just make sure that you're covering all of the little cutouts. And get that in place nicely. Beautiful gold touch to the wings. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to glue the wings to this little part back here behind his head. Okay, and this little shape, you should see that little shape here on the inside. It's going to go right in there like that. So just apply some glue to that inner part that curves inward. Okay, and then pop that right in there so it's flush with the score mark. And I'm folding it in half to help me with the, to apply the pressure onto his wing. Okay, and you can see how cool that's going to look once his wings actually open up. All right, now let's get the glue on the other side here. And try to get it out to the top as best as you can. And just pop that right in there. Make sure you've got it all the way down so it's nice, and also so it's nice and aligned back here. And then just give it a squeeze. Okay. And there is our beautiful eagle. Okay. So at this point, what we can go ahead and do is take and slide the little tabs through the back. Okay, and let's test this out real quick. Let's get him in there nicely. And let's make sure he folds. Okay, and give it a little push here. Get that nice and trained. And let's see what happens here when we open them up. There we go. Okay. So again, you want to make sure that the little tabs here are going away from the center of the card, the seam. Okay, just pop a little bit of glue right on that guy and fold him over and push. Other side, a little bit of glue, fold it over, hold that down for a second. There we go. Okay, now when you open them up, you may want to just open it and close it a few times just so that he can kind of, so that the wings kind of, I don't know, get trained a little bit, but that's basically how it works. Okay, so that is pretty much it for our little eagle here. The rest of this process is simply putting some of the decorative pieces on. Just make sure that you're conscious of which piece is the back. This is going to go on the back here. You're just going to glue that on. Okay, and then the front, we've got this little piece here. That's going to get glued on right here. Just want to make sure that you have a nice even border on the side and here. Okay, and then this big piece here. Okay, it's going to go like this, and we did not include any score marks on this, but what you want to do is make sure that as you're laying these down, you're covering up the score marks from the other side. Okay, so there's really no right or wrong with this. I'll show you how, I mean, there's a way to layer these, but if you have them kind of going in a little bit of a different direction, or as far as like how they curve, it's fine. But as you can see, you want the tips of these to kind of all meet together, and if you do it right, you're going to be able to cover up all of the little score marks that were there from the little guides that we included to help you with the placement of the interior pieces. Okay, and then this guy here is going to go like this. Okay, so just get those glued down pretty much like that. And then you've got a little star that you can hang right about here. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the construction of the actual card. Now let's take a look at our envelope. Okay, so for our envelope, it's one piece, and then we've got a little blue piece to kind of give it a second dimension, and then a star for a third dimension. I'm going to go ahead and fold all four sides. And let's get our little blue piece here. What you're going to do is you're going to tuck this blue piece in so that it's completely flush and up against that score mark area. And you want to move it left and right until you have a nice even border going all the way on both sides. So it just is nice and symmetrical. You can also use the point of the star here to help you make sure that you have it in the right spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on basically the entire flap here. Okay, let's just do that real quick. Let's get our glue on this flap all the way up. Okay, and again, I'm going to lift this up and just kind of shove that right into the little crack there where the score line is, and just make sure that I've got that nice and aligned on both sides, and that the point of the star is nice and centered. Just kind of nudging it ever so slightly. And there we go. Okay, push that down. And then of course we've got our little star. And then just pop that right in place. Got a beautiful patriotic card here. Okay, and just center that right in the middle there. Beautiful. Okay, and then to close it up, I'm going to fold these flaps in, fold the large flap up, and we can just put a little bit of glue along the edge there. I'm going to flip that up, hold and press that down until it sets. Okay, there we go. Your envelope is ready to go. And again, I still need to just glue these on top here like this, but your card is ready to go.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.